Hi, it's Glenn Depke from Depke Wellness, and I'm here to talk to you about something that I know is very important to you. And I confidently say that because I did a survey out on social media that had huge response. And basically what I was looking for is I proposed a question. What is it about aging that fears you the most? And like hands down, with such a high percentage of people are afraid, and perhaps you are yourself, of brain degenerative issues, of losing function of your brain as you get older. Maybe a concern of a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's or any other brain degenerative issue. And you know what? And I totally get this because this is something that I've lived generationally. You see, when I was just a child, my grandmother lived with us. And I knew she had health challenges, but I didn't really know the depth of what was going on. And I would often find my grandmother in the middle of the night walking aimlessly around the house. And I didn't understand at the time or really know what was going on, but now I understand my grandmother had severe dementia. She didn't know where she was. She often didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was. And it wasn't just my grandmother. Unfortunately, my mother as well. The last 13 months of her life, while her body was still strong, her mind was gone. My mother had severe dementia as well. She spent the last 13 months in a hospital bed in my parents' living room, being fed baby food and my dad changing her diapers. And then finally her body gave out and really kind of matched where her brain was, and my mother moved on. And then my brother, my older brother, who lived out of state, so I didn't really have a close connection with him. And he had some issues with his voice, and he was seeking out the care conventionally. And his medical doctor had diagnosed him with a vocal cord disorder, and he was on prescription drugs for his vocal cords, and he was actually in a speech therapy type of setting. And he was doing this for months, if not a year or longer, only to later find out that it was just a misdiagnosis. He didn't have a vocal cord issue. He didn't have an inability to use his talking skills properly. He had ALS. So that diagnosis was a bit shocking to him, as would be understandable. And then even with myself personally, when I was 17 years old, I had my first grand mal seizure. If you're not familiar with what a grand mal seizure is, you basically become unconscious, you hit the ground or whatever you're near, you basically flip around like a fish out of water, and because of the effect this has on your muscular tissue, you wake up kind of feeling like you just got run over by a truck. I was even diagnosed with a seizure disorder with epilepsy and put on anti-seizure medications and still had seizures on the anticonvulsants. So when you're talking brain degeneration, you're not just talking to somebody here who knows this based on learning, based on education, based on reading books, based on school. You're talking to somebody here that knows this firsthand, personally for myself, as well as what I've watched my family and clients go through on a consistent basis. So the good news here is that you can actually prevent this. You don't have to have that same faith that my grandmother or my mother or that my brother had. You can actually prevent brain degeneration. And even if you have some mild or moderate brain degeneration type of symptoms that you're dealing with today, you could even turn that around. And that's what my 3-hour workshop is all about. This is the top 5 steps needed to avoid brain degeneration. I'm going to teach you the understanding of what are the core underlying factors that lead to brain degeneration. It's not about genetics, that you've been dealt a bad hand. It's really about taking care of what leads to brain degeneration issues. So in this workshop, you're going to understand all of these top triggers of brain degeneration. I'm also going to provide you assessment tools that you're going to be able to use right now to understand which of these underlying triggers are responsible for leading you down a brain degenerative path today. And then most importantly, once you understand what this is all about and you understand how you are being impacted by this individually, I'm going to provide you the tools, the understanding, and the protocols needed to either prevent this brain degeneration or help turn it around if you're already on that path. So to finish up what I was talking about with my brother, he was diagnosed with ALS, and as I had mentioned, it was a late diagnosis. Unfortunately, also the drug that he was on for his vocal cords potentially created an advanced brain degenerative issue, and we found out too late. So it wasn't long after the diagnosis that my brother passed with ALS. But I have much better news on my front, is that yes, I had the seizure disorder. Yes, I was still having seizures while on anticonvulsants. But based on what I've learned, I was able to understand the underlying core reasons why I was having the seizure, why I was having this neurodegenerative issue. And I took care of this. I balanced it. I addressed all the issues that were leading to my problem. And you know what? I don't have seizures. I would no longer be concerned or be considered as somebody who has a seizure disorder or epilepsy, and I don't take anticonvulsants or anti-seizure medications. And you know what? I'm not worried about having another seizure the rest of my life because I took care of the underlying factors. And that's what I'm going to teach you in this 3-hour workshop. So make sure you click on the button on this page to learn the top 5 keys for you to avoid brain degeneration and take care of that single biggest fear that most people have, that you likely have yourself about aging, and live the rest of your life with a happy and healthy brain. I'll see you on the inside.